Hey guys, this is Rebecca Starlight. This video was meant to come out a year ago, but I got caught up in so many other projects that I decided to put this on hold. Remember that Disney ranking video that I did last year? That was originally meant for Valentine's Day, not my birthday, and I delayed my BlueSky ranking just for that. Then both got delayed, and thus this BlueSky ranking has become my most delayed video ever. I even tried to get this done in June of last year, but that got delayed for the actual Disney ranking that I decided to not delay anymore. Actually, this video was originally meant to come out in the fall of 2021, and yet, here we are in January of 2023. I do not care about BlueSky Studio! I know other people have done a BlueSky ranking before. I even found 4 results of 4 different YouTubers right away that did that, but I still want to do it. I've been wanting to rank all of them since 2021. Why? It seemed like a fun idea, and at the time, I don't think anyone did it. And I still stuck with that idea. But just for fun, I'm gonna throw in the 6th Ice Age movie here because it is part of the Ice Age franchise. It may not be part of BlueSky, but I still feel like it is good to bring this film up and not need to make a full-on right animation review on it. Now let's go out there and commit tax fraud! Okay, that was just a joke. Don't actually commit tax fraud. I only said that because their company ended. The actual BlueSky committed tax fraud.
Hello, police station? Yeah, I forgot to tell him about my tax fraud. No, tax fraud.
Buck Wallace, kill me, please, kill me now. Ice Age 6, Ice Age 6, Ice Age 6! This is one of the worst films I have ever seen in my entire life. Look at this animation. Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it! No, this isn't some late 2000s terrible animated movie. It's one of the ugliest 3D animations I have ever seen. Sid looks like piss! Sid literally looks like someone pissed on his body.
I'm pissing on
Sid-
Holy crap!
Why is he that color? Why would you make it that disgusting color? All of the animation feels like frames are missing, and they're more than likely missing just to get this out as fast as possible. Then again, when you're working on Ice Age 6, I can't fully blame you. This film was in production for 2 years, people. There are many moments in the movie that if you pause it, you would be horrified with the terrible animation. It's also not edited well. Everyone in the herd jumps in all different directions right here, but then they all just end up together. Sid is on Manny's tail. Next scene. Oh, never mind, he never was. The 3D looks way too fast here. How did anyone think that looked good enough to be on Disney Plus? Who thought this was good enough? How did anyone think that it looked good enough for Disney Plus release? I don't care if I'm fucking repeating this. I'm just so stunned. The worst of the animation is on the main antagonist. His brain does not look good. It makes me want to puke every single time that I see it. How do you guys make this look terrible? Now I know what you may be thinking. Oh, they had a lower budget. There were time restrictions. The new studio that made this didn't have as much experience. And to all that I say, this is the film Ice Age from 2002. This film came out 20 years ago, and yet it still looks better. 3D animation is supposed to look better 2 decades later, not worse. And if Disney, a big conglomerate company that it is, can't put out better animation than this, then don't even bother at all on trying to make this movie. Even BlueSky's first ever animation looks better than this. This is Bunny, BlueSky's first ever animation. It looks even better than Buck Wild. I sincerely believe that the only reason why Disney even bothered to make this movie was to celebrate Ice Age's 20th anniversary. But even that is a stretch considering its history with the franchise on Disney Plus. Another stupid thing? Like a really, really stupid thing? For a good while, the Ice Age movies, with the exception of the 5th one and the freaking Easter special, yes, there's an Easter special, were taken off Disney Plus and brought back after almost 2 years. Okay, the animation is bad, but is it really the worst part of the movie? Well, to that I say,
You are correct, sir.
oh, wait. Yeah, the animation is actually the worst part of the movie to me. But the story is not that much better. This film stars Crash and Eddie, the worst part of the Ice Age series, despite the name not in the title of the film. They want to move out and be independent, and then they do, but then they keep going back to their old home for lunch. That's the movie as a whole. It's almost as if nothing happened, just like this movie. As for the jokes and the writing, it's boring. This film opens with Ellie doing some random cave drawings on recapping the first 5 films, all of which are better than this one. I don't know if this is a rule of thumb, but considering very often Father, another 2022 thing on streaming services that I'll talk about later this year, that starts off on recapping something from 20 years ago. Maybe we shouldn't do recaps anymore on products that are over 20 years old. I can understand Peaches not being in this, but why is Diego's girlfriend not in this? Oh wait, her name, let's look up her name. Fuck, what's her name? Diego girlfriend. What's this type of Diego girlfriend? It's gotta be there. Diego Schwartzman's current day. I don't care. I don't know who that is. I said, that one. That film. Let's see it. Yes, Shira. Her name's Shira, you guys. She does nothing. She did nothing in the films. Like, I guess she did so nothing that they forgot she existed. This is the state of everything. I really do not care about this franchise at all. Like, why do people care about Ice Age for anything? I hate this. Also, I might as well bring it up now before I forget. None of the original actors from the first 5 films are in this. They're all replaced, and they don't really do that much good of a job. It's just not the same. Ray Romano's replacement sounds nothing like Manny.
Your aroma is strong. You'd never survive on your own.
We could if we wanted.
Yeah, oh yeah? I doubled all day to approve.
There's a Zorua named Z, and she does things like skunks, but isn't exactly a skunk. She used to be part of a group of other animals with Buck, but then they died. Or they did die. Anytime that this movie tries to be serious, it ends up backfiring. Like, they try to play a flashback of when Ellie was with Crash and Eddie as kids, when Crash and Eddie's mom dies, and they play this as a serious, sad moment. This was immediately after Crash and Eddie do something stupid and gross.
It's time for us to move out and make our mark on the world. I make my mark on the world every day. I just lift my leg and do it.
Oh yeah, this film has a lot of gross out humor. Like, there's a part where Crash and Eddie are sniffing Z's smells, and they kind of like get horny for it because they have like a smell gross fetish.
I love the smell of skunky gas in the morning.
I hate this. Like, I didn't even write that in the script. I just know this from memory, and now my brain is scarred. Where is the memory gun? Forget making the books from Gravity Falls real. Let's make the memory gun real. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. I'm just recording and rambling. I just, like, who thought this was a good idea? Like, in 2022... I never want to talk about anything BlueSky related after this ranking. This is the worst anime film that I have ever seen from this decade. Raya, Scoob, and Sponge on the Run are all better than this garbage. Even Norm the North 4 was better than this, because that was at least part of a franchise that I never really cared about. I hope nothing is worse than Buck Wild, so that way I can put this at my #1 worst of the 2020s anime film spot at the end of 2029. And don't give me that excuse that Disney is not doing well in 2022. They are doing a fantastic job. From their shows like Amphibia, Big City Greens, The Ghost and Molly McGee, and The Owl House, to even their films like Turning Red and the Chip and Dale movie. And even in just the Fox division, Family Guy was probably at its funniest ever, and the Bob's Burgers movie is amazing and made me glad to see a new 2D film again on the big screen that wasn't something from the past. I guess since I have no plans on doing a Riot Animation review on anything BlueSky related in the future, I might as well talk about Scrat Tales as a whole. Oh, it's so cute! Gary Walgreen plays Scrat's son in Silly Little Shenanigans, by which I mean these two fight over the nut for 6 shorts that are 3 to 4 minutes long each. There are some great jokes, a really funny fourth wall joke, a Laffy sketch? What? And the last one has one of the best death jokes ever written. So yeah, watch these 6 shorts over Buck Wild. Use your memory gun to wipe your memory of Ice Age 6. Together, we can all forget this movie ever existed!
As was foretold in legend.
Ice Age Collision Course is awful. I just watched it again a couple of hours ago from the time we recorded this, and I felt like I was being put to sleep for the final time in my life. Why is Ice Age this fucking garbage? Okay, to get this out of the way, it's at least better than Buck Wild because I at least like looking at the animation this time around. In fact, I dare say it's the best animated of the 6 Ice Age films. This is one of those rare films where I can't name a single thing that I like, aside from a couple of jokes in the film and the actual good animation quality of everything in this. But that's pretty much it. Aside from a couple of jokes, nothing about this movie is funny. It's very annoying and boring. Sid, I just want to strangle. Let me try, I said try, to describe to you how he is in this.
Nobody likes Sid. Nobody likes Sid. Nobody likes Sid.
That is all that he does in the film. But believe it or not, Manny is the worst character in this movie. Remember how in the first 2 films he cared about his kind? and he was worried about his own species going extinct? Now he's all like, me, you're not good enough. Speaking of Manny, stop me if you heard this plot before. The husband forgets his anniversary. Oh, haha, very funny. There's also a part where Manny thinks it's funny to break up Peach's relationship.
Ooh, I know. We destroy the relationship, right?
Fuck mammoths. All my homies hate mammoths. Am I forgetting anything?
And with a butt that size, that's a whole lot of whooping.
Get out of here.
Not me. Love them and leave them and take half of everything. That's my motto.
Out!
Oh, apparently I forgot something on Sid. Speaking of girlfriends, the first girl that Sid tries to get with says this.
You look nothing like your profile picture.
Yes, Sid, the sloth from anywhere between 11,500 years ago to 2.6 million years ago has a social media profile picture. I get that kids' movies often do pop culture shit like this, but at the very least those movies do take place in the modern time, not in an era before electricity existed, and not helping is that the first 4 films didn't do this dumb shit. Not even Scrat can save this movie. This is the only Ice Age film where he is not funny. This is the most textbook example of what Jumpin' the Shark looks like. Scrat somehow created the planets by doing a game of pool, then pinball, and then piano. Why is he creating the planets? For some reason, both this and Continental Drift felt the need to have Scrat interact with the main plot. I like how Scrat was in the first 3 movies where he was doing his own funny thing. I never had a problem with him not being part of the main plot, but I guess BlueSky did? Why? There's this joke from the first Ice Age movie where they go into this ice cavern and see all these weird props on ice. The joke is that each one represents an Ice Age sequel, and it's also in order. Almost as if BlueSky knew they were gonna make 5 Ice Age movies from the start. That's how unoriginal the Ice Age sequels feel, stealing every plot device from the first movie. Ice Age 5 is a prophecy story. Excuse me while I film myself screaming into a pillow. Prophecy stories are the most unoriginal story ever. Do you want to know why these don't work? That's because prophecy stories more or less give the ending away. They tell what is going to happen in the story. And the only way to subvert this is to just make the prophecy 100% wrong. As bad as Secret of Nymph 2 was, maybe a prophecy story could work in the world that they live in. But Ice Age? No. Like, it's in an era where they should be creating prophecies, not following them. At least for the prophecy story and Amphibia, it never bothered me that much because the show didn't focus that much on the prophecy at all. And they made both the story and characters fun. Do they make it fun for Ice Age 5?
Sweet eye patch. Very gangsta.
-5, no. Ice Age 5 is about the gang trying to stop an asteroid from destroying the Earth, because apparently the asteroid is attracted to the Earth like a magnet. I could not make this up even if I tried. Does this movie know anything about asteroids? I wish I could say that I like Buck, but I don't. Then they all save the planet. Change is easy, which is why we're saying this in Ice Age fucking 5. Oh, and let's not forget the dance party ending in Ice Age 5. Why does this movie have a dance party ending? The first 4 movies didn't do this shit. And no, I don't count the third one as a dance party ending because dancing in the credits doesn't count as a dance party ending. This one though, the movie just comes to a stop so that Sid's new girlfriend can do a pop song. That is literally her only purpose in this movie. To give Sid a pointless love interest, and to sing a shitty pop song. What a waste. I'd rather BlueSky have made the film Nimona over this. Oh, what's that? You don't know what Nimona is? Or rather, was? It was supposed to be a film based on a book with the same name from 2015. BlueSky was gonna make this into a film. But then the Disney merger made them cancel this, and thus Spies in Disguise was their final film. And BlueSky people could only do Ice Age stuff afterwards.
Bring it's for you.
Ice Age 2 is, oh my fucking god, I just want to be done with this piece of shit. Please send help now. I need out of this Ice Age. Okay, it's not as bad as the other 2 because I at least felt more emotions this time around. And this one at least does something original and doesn't bore me to death. and it's not as anger-inducing as the other two, but I feel like this one is just nastier overall. Remember how in Ice Age 6 there were a couple of jokes of Sid saying that Ellie's brothers were dead? Remember those terrible jokes? Yeah, I feel like Ice Age The Meltdown is like that, but with more of those.
Folks, be the first in the valley to have a very own mobile home.
Yeah, he tried to sell his friend's body after his friend died. That's the quality of this film here. I hate this movie. There's this vulture that is voiced by Will Arnett. Okay, that's the thing, I guess. The main gimmick with Ellie being a possum is beyond stupid. All you have to do is watch the first Toy Story to know why. It's funny that BlueSky wasn't owned by Disney yet at this point, but the writing quality feels like Disney already took them over since this is a ripoff of Toy Story. But it worked there because at least, you know, Buzz belongs to Annie's toys. These possums are beyond annoying. How do you make Josh Peck not funny? Yes, he voices Eddie in this. Who is Eddie and who is Crash? I don't know. Do you even care? It's just every twin in animation. Despite them being voiced by two different actors, they sound the same to me. Maybe because twins in animation should not look the same. I fucking hate the designs. I can never tell the difference between the two. Look at this. Just look at this. Just show an image here. Just look at this. Can you tell me the difference? Can you? Is there anything to like in this movie? Well, yes. I love Scrat in this. In fact, I think he's at his absolute best in this movie. Easily the best part is when he gets to heaven, but gets rejected because Sid brought him back to life and then he beats up Sid for it.
I saved you, little buddy.
No, you did not, Sid. No, you did not.
Stop steaming up my tail! What are you trying to do, wrinkle it?
Ferdinand is so generic. It doesn't get as bad as those two Ice Age movies that I just talked about, but at least those movies give me something to talk about. This is one of the most generic animated movies that I have ever seen. It stars a talking animal. He's a bull, but he hates doing things that bulls do. It's either that plot or the I want to do what I was built for / made for, but I'm not good at it despite everything else of my kind and nature being good at it. I never really do enjoy these kinds of plots. Maybe it's just because of how many times it's been told at this rate. There's this goat that is the same person who was one of the female Ghostbusters in the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. I don't know if the same writer for that film returned for this one because, like that film, she is just unfunny. Kate McKinnon is a funny person when she is on Saturday Night Live. Please go back to that and be funny again. There are a lot of characters in this movie that do nothing. The hedgehogs do nothing, the horses do nothing, most of the bulls do nothing. I don't get why they're in this movie. Couldn't the film have focused on the little girl bonding with the bull more? That was the only real interesting thing about this movie. Also, the police take the bull away, but for some reason the dad can't get it back despite him owning the bull. I don't know how that works, but I don't care. Also, there's this one bull that has the same voice as Scrooge McDuck. That's the only interesting thing about that bull. I knew this film wasn't gonna be the greatest thing ever going in, but I thought this film would at least give me something to talk about or be interested in, but no. I can't name a single interesting thing about this movie. It's just so bland. Oh, and there's like a rival bull that hates the main character, but I don't care for the reason why. They don't do a good job explaining it. Just watch the Looney Tunes bull short. It's just so much better.
Epic fail.
Epic is not epic. Not epic in the slightest. This movie sucks. I do at least appreciate being in a different genre tone, which is why it's at least better than that bullshit movie, no pun intended, but it doesn't really stay invested with its genre. It's high fantasy, and I do appreciate high fantasy. The problem is that bad high fantasy is usually worse than bad comedy. Maybe this is just a me thing, but we shouldn't be using high fantasy in film. At least in animated films. Maybe it's just a Western thing since I know high fantasy can be good in anime films like in Spirited Away, but for our side of the world, it just doesn't seem to work at all. Our strengths with high fantasy in the West usually work with television. It works better in television because there you can spend hours upon hours developing these wonderful characters that we're gonna grow to love. You can't really do that in less than 2 hours, unless you have perfect writing. And the last Airbender movie kinda proved why you can't condense an 8-hour season into a 2-hour film. So when you don't have a lot of time to focus on the world that you have, you end up making shitty writing. There's these 2 snails that are just unfunny in the slightest, and all I can think of is, where is the salt? The main girl is generic. Side note, events surrounding the main character do not make the main character interesting. I don't care that she's almost an adult going to live with her dad since her mom passed away now. It doesn't make Mary any interesting. For me to be invested in anything, your characters have to be the most interesting thing about it. Bottom line. I don't get why the Forest Queen of this movie just gives all her powers to this random giant girl that she never met. Why would you give all of your powers to someone that you have never met before? And is it me, or did the movie Strange Magic rip off a lot of the assets of this film? They both look the same to me and I hate it. Also, the name Epic has already been taken for a film. There was a 2007 movie with the exact same name, so not even the name of the 2013 film is original.
Rio, we've gotta go to Rio.
I think when I was a kid, I may have heard about this movie, but it never really interested me since it was during the time in my life when I thought that animation was dead. This is before I discovered Friendship is Magic, and watching it for the first time ever as an adult, yeah, I could say that Kimmy was right. This movie is generic. It's not the worst thing ever. I do think the animation is really pretty, but it's not a fun film to watch. I mean, the movie opens with these birds singing and then getting captured. Why would you show that? I hate animal abuse. Things like child abuse and animal abuse are 2 things I can never stand. Thankfully, the film then stops focusing on things like that and instead focuses on this Minnesota woman and the bird bonding. But then they don't do that because she has to go to South America to help find more birds like Blue and help the blue macaque continue. But if they're the last 2, even with kids, I don't think their species will continue. Speaking of female birds, Jewel is just an awful character. Because this is a 2010s film, there was a secret rule where there had to be at least one woman saying, "I don't need a man," but then at the end have them fall in love with the man. Just because it's with birds doesn't make the cliches any less different. I just don't care for this one. Well, if it ain't the final BlueSky film.
Fuck!
And the only one to be made under Disney's ownership. Every other one was made before Disney owned BlueSky. I feel mixed about this movie. It starts off nice with this police officer mother and her inventive son. But then it cuts to something more interesting with this spy doing some crazy shit. And it's kind of awesome. It keeps me invested and I want to see more of this, and now he's a pigeon. Well, you don't have to tell me twice that Disney made this. Remember how in the 2000s Disney made movies about non-white humans turning into animals? Well, here they are doing it again in 2019. Yeah, when they focus on the spy stuff, the movie is good. But once it becomes about the spy becoming a pigeon, it all goes to shit. I don't care about YouTube star Will Smith Fish Genie becoming a pigeon. Not hot! Not hot! Go back to slapping Chris Rock. You were funnier there!
Falcon Punch!
Excuse me.
It could have been a really good spy movie, but it ended up being one of the most generic spy movies of all time. Not the most generic, this is still better than Cars 2, but there really is not much to write about this one. I think the villain has a cool design and he does have a nice plan, but he is kind of forgettable. I don't even remember his name. They could have done so much with him. The Disney twist villains are better because I remember their names. And then there's Walter's mom, the police officer. She has one scene at the beginning, and then she's dead. We don't even get the why. What was the whole point? It didn't motivate Walter, so I'm confused. Couldn't the movie just focus on Lance's spy stuff and skip all the animal nonsense? Like, we already had 2 BlueSky movies about birds. Did we really need a 3rd one? I don't care for Walter. Halfway through the list now, and we finally get to talk about Ice Age again. Oh hey, Scrat does a thing that affects the plot. At least he can be funny at times in this movie, unlike the 5th one. Of all the bad Ice Age films, this one I think is the least bad. It's not a good movie, but it's actually not terrible. It's in the middle. Let's talk about all of its bad stuff first. And Peaches is a bitch! She has his friend, Mohawk, who has the same voice as Olaf, by the way. She ditches him to hang out with cooler mammoths. She tries to distance herself from her dad a lot, and Manny is still good in this movie for the record, but the real terrible family is Sid's. Let me play you a clip from the first movie.
They left without me. They do this every year.
This is a good point showing that Sid had an abusive family, with how they ditched him every year for the migration. It's like they weren't allowed to talk about Sid, just like how Disney wasn't allowed to talk about Bruno. It's funny because Sid and Bruno have the same voice actor. The first Ice Age movie was good because it basically said, fuck my abusive family, I don't need them.
Why did you do that? You could have died trying to save me.
That's what you do in a herd. You look out for each other.
Well, thanks.
And yeah, the first 3 Ice Age movies show that Sid didn't need any of his awful family members in his life. He was happy the way that he was. He found a new family, or like the movie says, a new herd. In this one, they just come out at random to abuse Sid more. You know how this could have worked? Having these other sloths be intelligent. What do you think of when you hear sloth? You probably think of a dumb, lazy, and slow animal. It'd be funny if sloths were actually smart, intelligent, and fast creatures. And Sid, because of him being the most famous sloth of all, it could have led to everyone thinking that's how sloths are. That would make for a great idea. But no, Sid's family ends up being worse than him, and they only came by to get rid of Granny.
We got rid of the crazy bat! Let's go! We're headed inland, and Granny is just dead.
Have you seen Barnyard? It's Bessie, i.e. Wanda Sykes. I bring up Bessie because that is her entire character. Another problem that I have is Diego, and it's not just this movie. In the original Ice Age, Diego was supposed to die at the end, but because actual children cried during the test screening of this, they decided to bring Diego back to life. Oh, and Dennis Leary also wanted the kids to be happy, so there's that. While it is nice that he was brought back to life for that ending, every movie afterwards, I don't think he was needed. He's not bad per se, at least not as bad as Sid, but I feel like if you cut him out, you wouldn't be missing anything. The third movie, he states that he needs to leave the herd to find himself, and yet he stays with the herd by the end of the movie. Ice Age 4, Diego gets a girlfriend, Shira. She's not interesting, and I had to look up her name since she's that forgetful. She is kind of cool and a bit of a badass as a pirate, but the fifth one, no. Now let's talk about some of the good things in this movie. I do like the Mohawk character. He's constantly beat down verbally throughout the film, but he's such a sweetheart. But the best part is actually the pirates. Yeah, the part you thought would be the stupidest element is actually very entertaining. Captain Gut is also a pretty good villain. I mean, look at what he does here. That's also the angry elf himself, Peter Dinklage, doing the voice. And who knew he could sing? The song was surprisingly pretty catchy too. Honestly, a better pirate song than the one in the My Little Pony movie. I guess you could say that this movie drifted me. Oh my god, that was such a pet pun, even for me.
Oh, have you not heard? It was my understanding that everyone had heard.
Heard what? Brian,
hey, what do you know? The sequel ended up being slightly better than the first one. It's more colorful here, and it is nice seeing Blue's family. I think the kids can be good, and I think the soccer game is really fun. The villain from the first film, Nigel, is back, but I actually found him to be much funnier in this movie. I also like his 2 minions, a mute but cute anteater named Charlie, and a poisonous frog named Gabby. Gabby is voiced by Kristen Chenoweth, i.e. one of the most beloved people on Broadway right now. Oh, and she was in the MOP movie as Sky Star. She's also in love with Nigel. She gets a lot of the best lines, and it's mostly due to Chenoweth's delivery. Okay, that's all the good stuff Jul's such a bitch. Okay, to be fair, she's not as bad here as the first one, but she basically tells Blue to abandon their perfect home just to live with more of their own kind. In the Amazon, the deep Amazon, they want to leave a suburban happy household to go deep in the Amazon. You know, the Amazon, one of the most dangerous places to go to. But like, Blue is happy in his home, and so are the kids. Even Jewel was happy at first, but when she learns, oh hey, we can make more of our species in a different location, they just leave. They don't even tell Blue's owner. It's like Jewel wants Blue to distance himself from his owner that helped him for all of these years. And this is the sequel. Jewel learned in the first one that some humans can be trusted. Oh, and what does she say after Blue has been trying his absolute hardest to fit in, keep their children safe, and make her happy? And don't even get me started on Jewel's father. He's every fucking parent-in-law ever. The father-in-law hates their son-in-law. What a novel concept. Hey, it just hit me. Why can't this film be about both the human owner and the bird doing an adventure together? Are you telling me that you can't tell a story with both a human and a bird together at the same time? I've seen YouTubers do this before. Are you sure this couldn't work in the medium of film? That, I think, could have worked. I don't know why they have to be separated. This movie still sucks, but I at least was more invested in this one than the original.
That's not singing, it's just screaming.
Oh my god, okay, what's the next? It's an elephant movie. It's just, I really hate this list. Like, I thought it was gonna Horton Hears a Who is just so generic. You want to see a better version? You watch the 1970 version by Chuck Jones. It's funnier, more interesting, and tells more story stuff in less than a quarter of the time of this one. Also, it rhymed, which was kind of Dr. Seuss's thing. They even make that feel like a sequel to How the Grinch Stole Christmas, since the Grinch is in that one. Look at that guy and tell me that isn't the Grinch. This isn't the worst of these films by any means. I mean, some of the actors do good in their roles, but they're not given the best material to work off of. Like the kangaroo considering to get rid of her kid.
Little kangaroo.
Mom! Quiet, Rudy. Mommy's thinking it over.
Or even still wanting to destroy the clover when she finds there's life on the speck.
Wickershams, get that clover. What? Anybody! Take it from him.
I don't think Jim Carrey is funny with Horton. I honestly don't think that Jim Carrey is that funny, honestly. And yeah, I didn't care for him much in The Grinch either. I remember when I was a kid seeing the monkeys in the trailer.
Bring the ammo!
But the original made them much scarier and fun.
We're the Wickersham Brothers. We're vigilant spotters.
You know, when I went into this ranking, I thought this was going to be interesting. Like, I was going to find some hidden gem that was overlooked, or even a truly horrendous piece of garbage that needed to be ripped apart. But no, this was one of the hardest videos I have ever had to make because of how boring most of these films are. Entries 11 through 5 all bored me. Only 13 and 12 enraged me in some way. BlueSky might just be the most generic animated film company of all time. At least Illumination makes interesting films. Even knockoff companies make interesting films. As for the big studios, sure, some Illumination films are bad, but they at least give me things to talk about. And honestly, I don't really care that BlueSky went bankrupt, because if this is anything to go by, then they weren't gonna last much longer. Fortunately, BlueSky has 4 amazing films, and I really do mean amazing. These are some of the best anime films of all time. An Ice Age sequel that's good? What has this world come to? Oh, dinosaurs. Who knew that's all it took to make this franchise good again? I think Sid makes a good mother to those baby T-Rexes. Not only that, but he works off Mama T-Rex very well.
Hey, where you going? This is how you resolve conflict? No wonder you're single.
And I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but even Crash and Eddie are funny. Yes, you heard right. They were actually given funny lines and scenes.
He's the one that gave me this.
Whoa, he gave you that patch? For free?
But the best part of this movie is Buck. He has a great backstory on how he came to enjoy the thrills of life, and while he is a cook, he's very entertaining.
And I swung back, forth, and back, forth, and back, forth, and back, forth, and back. And forth, and back, and forth.
My favorite scene is just the helium scene. I love it very much. And I think it's a good explanation of the dinosaurs being under the ground.
Don't you see?
We're all gonna die!
If you don't care for the Ice Age sequels, I don't blame you. But I think this is the one exception that's actually really good.
So, does this mean we're going back to the beginning?
Ice Age 1 is still amazing. It's beautiful, it has a heart-wrenching story, Manny dealing with grief is nicely well handled here, and I like how he doesn't hold it against the baby. And when he gives the baby back to his family, it's a genuine tearjerker. I think the franchise should have really just been these 3. Sid, Manny, and Diego. They are the best characters, and Diego actually is investing. Diego also learns what being in a herd or family is like.
Why did you do that? You could have died trying to save me.
That's what you do in a herd.
It also does a refreshingly quick take on the liar reveal cliche. Once Diego tells the crew he tricked them, they act angry, but thankfully they hear him out and let him explain what's going on. And they do this right away. Here's a little fun fact, did you know that Jack Black is in this movie? Yeah, before he became on DreamWorks doing Shark Tale and Kung Fu Panda, he was this one saber-toothed tiger. This was before he made it big.
You want to maul something, don't you, Zeke?
want them all.
Then what are you waiting for?
Also, it may just be a me thing, but I think the Ice Age movies go backwards in time. Humans are in this one, but we came after the meltdown of the Ice Age. So, there's that. And of course, Scrat is funny here. It's the one to truly start all, and he shines.
Peanuts!
The Peanuts movie is a really underrated movie. Honestly, I should have put this in my top 10 favorite anime movies of the 2010s list. I grew up with Peanuts. I even owned some of their books, like the 50th anniversary one. And I watch their holiday specials every year. So I might be a little biased in this. Actually, who am I kidding? All humans are biased. It's in our nature. I don't know if you never saw anything of Peanuts if you were like this, but at the same time, this is a good entry point for all things Peanuts. Charles Schultz's family did work on this, so I can definitely tell the style. Speaking of style, I love the animation in this movie. I have never seen a film try this style. It's 3D, but it likes to give a 2D comic feel to it. And the Captain Underpants movie would use this style as well, and that's one of DreamWorks' best movies. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie also used this style, but I heard that movie is not good. While I wasn't a big fan of Snoopy's shenanigans, i.e. the World War I flying stuff, yes, it's World War I, not World War II. People often think it's World War II, which is incorrect. They probably get that confused since Charles Schultz served in World War II, and they think it's a reference to that. But it's not. I still think it's pretty entertaining. The best thing about it is how we never see the bottom of Snoopy's house in the air. The camera works around that. That's a nice little detail that goes the extra mile. I think the dance sequences are fun. Anything with snow is awesome. And I love how when Charlie Brown gets to be a big shot, he doesn't turn out to be a jerk. He's still his same lovable self. Nice twist on that. And when he realizes that he didn't pass the test and realizes that he used the wrong one, he tells the truth right away.
This is not my test. Therefore, I cannot accept this honor.
Though, movie. Are you trying to tell me that this dumb bitch Peppermint Patty was the only one to get a perfect score on the standardized testing? You're telling me that Marcy, the smart one, couldn't even get a 100%? And upon further examination, all Peppermint Patty did was doodle.
Actually, I just doodled. Thank you, short attention span.
Yes, it is literally the same joke. I have no idea if that was intentional or not. This movie was a joy, and I had a lot of fun revisiting this one. It's as good as it was 7 years ago. And now for my favorite Blue Sky film. Why the fuck did nobody tell me that Robots was amazing? Holy shit, I was not expecting this movie to be this good. When I was a kid, I thought this movie was but now, it's one of the funniest movies of all time. And I was laughing hysterically even before Robin Williams came into the movie. The best joke is the labor joke.
12 hours of labor. Oh, but it was worth it.
I never noticed that joke as a kid. And there are a lot of jokes from this movie that I never noticed.
There you are. I told you I'd find him. It's a mother's instinct.
Instinct? He left us a note. I'm leaving. I'll be at the train station.
The joke that I remember the most was when Fender was making fun of his sister.
Mr. Spock.
Enter! Get out of my room!
I'm not in your room. I am now.
No, I'm not.
I am.
Not.
Get out of my room!
And let me say it right now, Rodney's dad is one of the best dads I've ever seen.
I'm gonna be a dad! Congratulate me!
This is a guy who encourages his son, understands where he's coming from, and never gives up even when things are darkest. And it's nice seeing one of your inspirations not be a complete asshole, but rather is misguided and needs your help to guide them in the right direction again. I have never seen that done before. Usually the inspirations that our protagonists look up to are either perfect or turn out to be evil. It's nice to see somebody subvert that for a change. And this movie is very unique and inventive. And no, I'm not just saying that because it stars robots. There's no part of this movie that I felt bored at all with. The two villains are great. I love how the main antagonist sounds like a man.
Oh, are these losers?
We, sir.
I'm a woman. Ouch.
They make this movie even more fun. Also, she just happens to have her husband hanging around.
Grow some balls. Or do you want to end up like your father?
Hey, son. Good to see you.
Like, it's a random joke and I love it. There's a lot to love in this film. From the villains to the environments to the dominoes. I recommend this movie to everyone. If you haven't seen this movie yet, please watch it. And maybe someday I'll give it a full animation review. It deserves it.